Abusianfonity for higher for 1G channel first time about so I need no book and so now I subscribe my 7 news be no she be a notification phone so no abeshafin so my so be more than for so any beauty for me and can some to thing. Zenator Rawlings as MP so a parliament no and they see what babon in a day nim guase Kesi pan dear Afenyo markings pan just any simple because real corner can say a year or mombra or we would share one letting in say or mombra no mountain say the could speak any mina a year say James Abush near the nan to mina as is in the more bet nasia. Mombra mamba and when I beckons not to Rawlings a good any massipan wakase. Mwankasa momokasa asa mokasa in bitterness. Mo heart na full of acrimony no eno ane bitterness. Asa mokasa asa yaudie bi wo mumu and asa mo create tension bi de eto Ghana for so. O se o mona ma problem na obi bisa ne say inti de mo ye o parliament eye. La mo hwe niema eye Afenyo markets ne niema bi okaka e wo media na so eye. Because no share press conference on moye aye just on mokase a year NDC for a critical chaos. While I was here, modi a year country now go far away and only an critical chaos. NDC for comply or near my moye because I phrase it just no education and only my name and or my town committee in our day, our parliament, including NDC for MP somewhere the Omakasa committee no, and yet be performed one else our committee. So, what are some critical on one say? And also, so you a year KTM also babonting, and then talk quite the change at the boy in this amanu kunimbi. I say, oh, yeah, and so MPS or quite an talk about riba. And when I a year KTM or can say, or best sign a speaker of parliament, no, about baby no contempt. And only a Becca is not to Rawlings ahead. I'll be cleaning in punches already. Or we release some secretly behind the door near the just any ass and go to mean some men coming good is not to Rawlings a bar near the uncommon at us.
Said the steps are yeah far towards the election. Ninyema El Costo in the lead up to the election. It's not making people lose confidence in what is possible to do in this country. You know, and for me, no, I think, and many lawyer, you know, and I'm not the most experienced member of parliament, but when maybe references now speaker you know, he picked it from the constitution. So there is a document that we look at, and Yawadia friend precedents. We've seen this happen before in the 7th Parliament, and I feel say we have to find a way to come to the table and have some kind of conversation that moves away this level of acrimony. Yehu. Obibeka said, oh, we go jina ho all in a press conference. No, well, it's just a idea all kakeke in the But you see, the impact on the psyche of one of my 8 years in same way, no, it starts to create a feeling of, are we safe? Because I bet to say one of my you expect say they will manage these things a little bit better. And now you're wondering what is going on. And you're thinking, say, or let's say, one of my any, you know, part of the legislature are now not part of the system, no, may not appreciate some of the little nuances. So from what you're seeing, you start to get worried and you're thinking, is everything falling apart? Because it's starting to have that appearance. And sometimes, you know, a bad nema say, it's not always what is fact, it's what people perceive. Into be idea no and say, but dear cost no a man crofo e feel say I say to the point where I feel people are starting to get worried. Because enra ne nrechi baby ayebeko bia say a fitting shop or so be hairdressing salon obia sa questions we omo bisa say into e dia na ekosui. E dia na ekosui. You drew one fitting shop be a papa be say, well, someone amoye approval of sir a judge. I had nothing to say. I had nothing to say because at the end of the day, no, people are observing what is happening. And it shows say Ghana for are discerning. We need to be a little bit mindful in so that we build confidence in the institutions of governance. Say the beya say to abano outcome na bebano obi abeje to mu say e nokre say na esi ye obi enwie mu obi ansese bibiara obi anye de emfata de esi ye no ye ninua ya gye atum say the right thing happened and then we move forward because at the end of the day mene wa yete hey 7th December ye ninua ye koto aba at the end of the day esi e kind results no whatever they may be on the 8th. Wow, sorry, you should be able to get out of your house. Like I said, make sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Juma sorry. I also to me sorry if you would die. Like I said, make Juma. There should not be a concern after that election. Say, oh, say any basi. After all, look at the way the world has just gone quiet. Some people are in shock with the election from the US.
America, yeah.
But the end of the day is life must move on.
That's right.
The election, and yes, it must disrupt our lives. And what we do leading up to it is important. And for me, no,
that's a baby. So we two near Bema a year up in your market for because already a year or more any more Rashibi fee. So we two for dear Nabaka because I did be a material of Rashibi fee and said, some more bam Rashibi fee, no more batten as a Jumana. A year and a papano leaders in any speaker, ego share. But what to again, Marco Ben Cromu, Yamu decided no, now Cosso.
Exactly.
Concern be our war, ya saw war, Ben Ranya San is here, or Cocos meeting.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we will bury Namaso, but to Adina said that. So, Utu for the other catcher.
Enra, actually, Enra, no, to be quite honest, before every sitting, no. Or before every week ever starts at the beginning of every meeting, no. Yeshia me make a business committee.
Yeah.
A committee I lay out more or less the timetable for the week ahead.
Okay.
Business committee in Shia. And so that in itself was quite peculiar. Because normally, by 9, not business committee Asia. Latest 9:30.
One also from Mabushia.
Oh, a club by instruction of leadership.
Okay.
But there was no such meeting. But actually, I guess maybe that should have been an indicator. It didn't actually cross my mind until yet. I say, business committee crap. I think my humble piece of advice, and I say, we must remember that at the end of the day, ejuma na ye some Ghana for na. Part of sa role no is not simply about say ye jina ho ye debates, ye bisa questions, ye pass emotions. It's also about making sure say Ghana for don't lose belief or faith in the system that we are practicing. Because also there also in other countries, no. You must realize say it can happen anywhere at any time. So you must protect and preserve what you have.
That's right.
We must not let Ghanaians lose confidence in us. Into memum dear, I feel say even when it has come to this point where now publicly ubia air Canada will medium no, my humble suggestion would be this: we have 28 days to an election. Let's think about the people of Ghana. Leadership should meet. You know, and your meeting biana ye de cameras ebemu. And your meeting biana ye ma ubia so to say ye share and I say ni say. There are a lot of meetings that have happened with leadership on both sides. But at the end of the day, it creates room for the right thing to happen.
Yeah.
Inti memum dear, my humble suggestion would be say, Obia mana kumantoni yem na yen drain Ghana ho. Impeninfo no Asia said ya woman speaker Asia no woman shia na woman Georgia na yen share the way forward. Because at the end of the day, there are some things that you can't dispute. Numbers, no, so subtraction, na arithmetic, no, say NDC has more numbers than NPP.
Yeah.
But it does not mean that governance becomes something that cannot be done.
Absolutely.
Really? So where's the freedom of speech? Where's the freedom of speech that is enshrined in our constitution? Are we a democratic, a constitutional, a governance country, or are we just doing ad hoc, as and when we wish? No, now obiafa constitution or say so on pedia koswa now asesemu. No, let's not be disingenuous. let's not be disingenuous. If freedom of speech was fair when John Mahama was president, freedom of speech must be fair under President Akufo-Addo.
On fire.
We must not switch things around. There should be consistency. So bibi wo hona enye na obia e bibia Fanipa Chronicle National Media Commission.
That's right.
If you're not happy with the way the Media Commission is doing things, have a committee to review it. But let us not start dismantling the things that are keeping Ghana up as a huge beacon of democracy, not just in Africa, but across the world. More betoye, you should not leave it broken. You should make it better than when you came. That is how a democracy evolves. Business committee Ayewohe, recently we did a benchmarking trip to the Parliament of Rwanda.
Yeah.
Rwanda, Debia, Obiaka, and a Rwanda street that they've had to get where they are now. No. And Yadia Ghana for should ever pray for.
No way.
Or wish on their worst enemies.
No way.
Now, so that has taught them lessons on how to create, I suppose, more harmony within their governance system. And making sure, say, for example, in Ghana, Parliament has not, till date, under this fourth republic, no. Government year budget, woman de ba, said the woman de ba na.
Wow.
In Rwanda, there's a committee in Parliament that takes part in the budget cycle at the very beginning.
Oh.
Into budget, no, by the time it comes, no, you are not going to reject it because you've been part of it. Yes.
Your committee account.
Parliament, they start there. There's no way say budget no ebeba Parliament at the end of it Parliament be rejected because they've been having that discussion from early on in the budget cycle. Also, no, they include community engagement as far as how the budget is put together. And by the time the budget is passed, they've also considered in terms of priorities, the communities that are involved, the projects that should be involved. Bear in mind, main casa or system no you're perfect, but there are things that we can learn.
Yeah.
There are things that we can learn so that when we talk about consensus building and good governance, no, and yeah, we are doing it in theory, we are actually putting in structures that allow for greater involvement and inclusivity. Say, no, we have a new committee in Parliament, a budget committee. Women are going to play that role, God willing, in the next budget cycle. There will be earlier on involvement in the budget that before it comes to the House.
Wow.
Well, these are little things that we should be looking at as a people. And let's leave the other things aside, progress, Emma. Say now, for example, in Rwanda, the Speaker of Parliament cannot, by law, come from the same political party as the president.
Wow.
Yes.
By law.
By law. We need to look at it and understand, say, if we can create greater consensus and greater synergy, some of these acrimonious things are easy, or at least not to this extent.
Yeah.
We have to think about this country.
Very well.
Zenator Rawlings about time can't say Nimguasia or the Afenyo marking Zenia to say Nimguasin because Omokase Bias Omokase in bitterness near their day. I say Yaudi be no de Casano Mocassettes become and Barbania their day. The Bermus were new out to me a Parliament or 2 months and I was a show. What she want like thing at the course of Panacha the Umbi Parliament and Messamba. Now, or recall more as a mumbra after a Masai boycott be Masa stage workout be my crampon man like Masa P. Reason is saying at the end I was saying a speaker catch a castle to force in the majority that right now say or film position or more some majority side and minority side and into no we are saying. We no no na asem ne fa EC niema e course no kan say the EC ni ye no like one ne kakra and o ka say EC no at long as at the end of the day no result be ba bonti no Sunday chin we be na sorry the Monday we be na adwuma hwi si timunjan say ene winti ase na hand power to den sani man o se mujan because Donald Trump and Kamala Harris about to na selection ekwo she say na man for Kamala echi nyom to fo ahodom ta Kamala echi ni be ka krebe o me kukudan ka krebe no di Donald Trump echi yenso ekosi sen Donald Trump na de any win is abato no inti niema MP before any de ono Inka chaos na nka Afenyo man Kesi nka nka bisi an Kesi dada because niema moye na ya de Ghana for e komaji ware $60 rate no depreciation abem ware sene aye Muhammad me tam $1 to 4 cedis na ma betam from aye 4 cedis to 17 cedis brand air force mo so incompetent na 17 cedis aye de kam new goods is na to ba near the income na be.
It was unfortunate. I felt it was unfortunate because it's in that room. And I'm common I was say bono. Your boss debate or why I was say no na ye. I just feel say if the intention was not for us to meet, I'm not fully understanding why the recall was done.
Could that have been the intention?
I say if that was the case, nenya adena yefre ubia say yembra because we were supposed to come back and our duty as members of parliament, if you are recalled to parliament, you're supposed to be there.
Yes.
You have to be there because we with primary mandate, is starting in the house.
It's a subo mo de bomo NDC say mona say Ghana for who say mon pese mo beboa ama free SHS yenya mrabi e de abata echi mona musi ho kwan say mo ma ban enoma de dada ni so no are they right to do that?
You know something? I think that let's be truthful. Because social education committee and young people MPs in Kwanete education committee no so NDC for ethics committee no so did you ever hear that NDC members of committee are blocking our policy way? No, because it's something that we believe in. The problem was the implementation. Musisi ada a school adanya and collaborate nemu and a more implementing idea more share the sustainability in terms of how to sustain it economically. Ma role a day out afa mu hu baby a mbenye sika no a sustaining programming afa more creative shift system because you didn't put enough infrastructure in place for the children to be able to have everybody going to school at the same time. And I hear say ours is not about because also the FQ this was a policy that we started.
That's right.
I went to JSS. I was part of that first generation. So it's something a philosophy home. But when you are implementing something as a government, you must look at its sustainability and you must make sure, say, in passing that thing through and making it happen, you are not creating another problem. In the NDC, you can't say you're cancel BBR. There you can say, shift system, I will say you put infrastructure in place, now you're in trouble because it is not helping our children. I collect him in school now, but not here for 3 months at a time. Now, what do you say at the end of the Adiciano, a becanitim? It's as simple as that. In the no dear, many women yarding. And I even heard all can say NDC4, we're trying to create chaos. Sebe. We are all representing people. Now, Yanuma NDC4 no, and your opia your constituencies and a NDC ni. We are there to serve the people, and it is very disingenuous and very unfair. So, Bejina media nim, I can say yang. Chaos and can chaos and can would we be quiet and just complying? I think that was an unfair statement, and I feel say it was in bad taste. Still can't say You cannot just tarnish people with one brush stroke so close to an election.
Wow.
Let's make sure that the election is free and fair and transparent. Don't try and plant seeds in people's minds. Say election, then we'll create problems, and this is the way move it. No.
Wow.
No. Let's not be like that.
Now, speak and also say mention for contempt today. And get your mon and no cassa to the sense that your media, GB. Yes, it's a secret.
Even for me, and way enemy second term, this has never happened before, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I think they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At the end of it, we come out with a solution that strengthens the independence of the legislature. Now, dear, what's a because as we know, Parliament, if it's a year, it's difficult in the sense a be part of a hybrid system. Omampeni the ministers ne appointees or ye be free parliament. Na ye name say parliament one of ye juma and say was say ye play an oversight role over the executive. Na ye mfana say ebia ejuma bi wo ho. Ena yafa o say hwede me ye no so na se me ya de na nya na wetia me na so I can say we de wo ye no den.
That's right.
Now if me ma fa say okay minim say ye de wash ho say ye adwuma we but me so me ma we adwuma me say be ye me ebia me chia me.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Inti at the end of that day no say BBC a why dey na obeka ama no.
That's a one.
And it's a real difficulty as we face in Parliament because I bear to say we have a combination of systems Emma Obia wo Parliament na ebia wo government and a wo ho na Emma so yeah dear that full independence no any ho and it's something that has been admitted by both sides of the house the government and opposition sides nina inti the Americano is nothing new. Start looking at some of the things a dahwa you've pan for granted say it won't cause any problem. Now you shemu inti minim say a lot of people have called for constitutional reviews and things like that. Yes, this is our longest lasting republic because there's something unique about constitution where it has just endured, but it hasn't endured in a vacuum. It has endured because maybe we've managed that. There's been also, even in terms of security services, part of the reason why we've had this kind of continuity, NSA, there's been a way of going about things so that there's some sanctity in their institution.
Yeah.
But we've seen a gradual undermining of the independence of various institutions, various agencies. Now, Sabio, Sauti Akunyaso, now we sikan. Now, Ode Bobo Akunyana, there's only one thing that can happen. Eventually, you will fall.
That's right.
So, BBI, we must make sure say we are not doing anything that will cause us to become unstable. Yeah, well, hey, we have 28 days left to the election.
Yeah.
This is not an ordinary election.
Yeah.
This is an election after 8 years. And we all know in Ghana, said traditionally, Ghana for after 8 years, but almost it's a presidency, almost it's a party now, and there's a lot of tension, and over the period of this NPP government, Ebinum have lost some confidence in the Electoral Commission as well. So there's a lot riding on the transparency of this particular election, on the fairness. We've seen issues with the register, polling stations, numbers no and make it sense. There have been things that are what we will call red flags. Now, baby, Sabi, no matter who you are, whether you are an incumbent or not, I will say, for the sake of the future, for the sake of even creating a stable environment where investors will be comfortable to come and invest, we must make sure that's where compromise, that's where that negotiation comes in. That would be my suggestion.
To leadership.
Yes.
But then again, the speaker so kind. May call back.
No problem.
Or can say me what the press conference. One of the reasons they are Ghana for 2 hours said you must see 2 years and Mrashe Abe said yes, because Ghana 4% MPP ni NDC juma bom said about my Ghana akwane nim. And the NDC sad you know kwai. Is it the case NDC are ready? MPP are ready?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, let me just use yesterday as an example. Yenin Raya campaign, Yenin Raya said, Yenya maximum 3 weeks because within a few days to election, there's no campaigning allowed. In the Yemfan said we have 3 solid weeks.
Ebusian Foneti for Nat and Sema a year's not Rawlings Daba to Jan, some no can I just say more remi panocase. A young friend of mine can send Kitia on in Sanko from Cancon or more cassette speaker no, a adiom cassa in bitterness. Your heart is full of bitterness. I just say, Yema a cosono, a did say Emma a year from your market and in June in I just say, Arr0gant near the dew winning munti and a manabasa. And on a year because now to rise about Bonterry that begun in Masi pa. No name in Tia or Casse a year in this for criticals. Give it criticals and give criticals that though because a year first teachers are on the bino committee or parliament about educational NDC MPs forum. Including more MPP MP from the Mamosum Wumbi. enti nema mo de ban no nyese bia no manage ho because infrastructure ni ade a resources ni ni ho na nso sansa mo de benti na speaker aka chemo se mo na me majority nti e was team na ye comply na we mu nyina ba ya nya hwe ye di mo chingete mo de Ghana for ko yi ni ade de hwe $6 rate ni nyina mo ka che ma so ye incompetent ni ade Nene some of parliament one cousin was actually elected the court because first a year proceeding never because no mobile and more heading must stage out. And I speak about sitting indefinitely. Marco elected their commands and was about parliament be speaker Arr0gant and Rasamambra. Man's uncle. One MP any who know a parliament a somewhat attaching who nimni in Zamade Mamba. Somewhat attaching component and the buofu a year back for your markings. And when semi brain is not riding, Akeka edify Katie Hammond or like obe sign a speaker contempt that the signs I'm not can you know so one train sign. Is not to run inside I can't see me but stay more me pa. Okay, can't see me bit my chair, your comment, such a bit so I shall more than for Sonny Biashe. Higher for 1G Akroma.